The Hebrew month of Kislev is the month of hope, dreams, and faith. Interestingly, the month of Kislev is one of the coldest, darkest months of the year. The longest night of the year happens during the month of Kislev, but shortly afterwards, the days slowly start getting longer, even if it's just minute by minute. Hashem's actually giving us a little hint. He's telling us that in our lives, sometimes it could feel like one long, dark, cold night. But it's almost a promise that after that long, cold night, daylight it's going to start getting brighter. It might not happen right away, and it might not be very clear, but it's going to happen very slowly, even if it's minute by minute. So no matter how dark things can seem in our lives, we have to hold on, because it's a promise that Hashem is making us that the next day it's going to start getting lighter. The word Kislev, if you break it in two, you have kiss and lev. Kiss is connected to the word kisui, hidden. Lamed Vav is the gematria of 36, so that's the hidden 36. Adam and Chava were in Gan Eden for 36 hours, 12 hours on Friday and 24 hours on Shabbos. Of those 36 hours, they were completely enveloped in the light of Hashem. After Shabbos, Adam and Chava were sent out of Gan Eden. Hashem came to them and said, Ayaka, where are you? After these 36 hours of basking in Hashem's light, they were now out of it. Ayaka, the gematria, is 36. Hashem is saying to them, where are you right now? How did you get there? What choices did you make to make you land where you are right now? There is light inside you, each one of you, and it's there for you to use. It's there for you to access. It's there for you to help you get out of whatever situation you are in. Every month has a Hebrew letter. The Hebrew letter for the month of Kislev is the letter Samach. The previous month of Cheshvan, the letter was Nun. When you take these two letters and you put them together, you have the word Nes, which means a miracle. The gematria of the word Nes is 110. If you take the question, Ma Hashem, the four letters of Hashem's name beginning with an Aleph, and you add them together, you get 110. What is the connection with Nes, with miracles, and saying Ma Hashem, what Hashem? When we're going through something, we can look up and say, Ma, what is happening? What is going on? What just happened? The answer always is Hashem. Always. And if we always remember that, we'll never ever feel like we're alone in whatever it is that we're going through. Because that's the miracle of getting through anything that Hashem puts us into. He's right there to support us. And the month of Kislev, it's a huge reminder with the letter Samach. Samach, Somech, support. If you look at the Hebrew letter Samach, you can actually take a Chaf and a Vav and put them together to make a Samach. What is the gematria of Chaf Vav? 26. What is the gematria of Hashem's four-letter name, Yud Kei Vav Kei? 26. What is Hashem telling us very clearly? You're going to fall. We all fall. I am there to support you. I am there every second of the way, and you will see miracles. When you recognize that I'm the one who will carry you through all of this, miracles will occur. Every month has a chush, a talent or a sense. The chush for the month of Kislev is sleep. What does this mean? I'm sure people are smiling. Love sleep. When we go to sleep, we're surrendering all control. We are no longer able to control anything because we're not doing anything. Very often, many of us need help to surrender. Many people have a very hard time falling asleep because they're so consumed by anxiety, worry, doubts, conflicts going on in their lives, just reflecting on the day, thinking, trying so hard to control things. When we are able to relinquish that control and realize Hashem's the one who runs the show. He's in charge. Ultimately, it helps people actually fall asleep. Granted, sometimes we need more melatonin, some lavender, nice hot bath. But ultimately, if we understand and we have true bitachon, that Hashem is completely in charge of everything going on in our lives. Hashem will take care of everything. Everything ultimately will fall into place. Maybe not the way we want it to fall into place, but it will. Then we are able to sleep better at night. The Rebbe said a beautiful sikha on why do we need to sleep? Why can't we just be awake all the time? We'll be so much more productive and get so much more done. Sleeping, we're stopping. We're not doing anything. And the Rebbe said the reason for this is very often negative things happen during our day, or we feel negative feelings. We need to put a transition between when something not good happens. We need a break and to start over the next day. It's like Hashem's giving us this respite from whatever it is we're going through to continue going forward the next day. By being able to sleep and by being able to stop, we are able to get ourselves unstuck. So often you've had a long day, a bad day, a hard day, but then the next day's fine. All you needed was a good night's sleep. All you needed was a break from that day before. And speaking of taking breaks, the mazel for the month of Kislev is the keshes. It's a bow. In English, it's the Sagittarius. It's a figure holding a bow and arrow. Now, for anyone who's ever used a bow and arrow, the best way, the most effective way to get the arrow to go furthest is to pull the bow back, hold it, and then let go. And the further you pull it back, the further the arrow is going to go. How can we translate that into our own lives? All of us are running and running and running and going and going. And sometimes, in fact, more than sometimes, we need to stop. We need to stop. We need to take a step back. We need to breathe. We need to take a look at our lives, at what's going on. And then we're able to move forward in a much more productive way. We think that by going, we'll accomplish so much more. But here, Hashem is telling us, no, you need to take a break. You need to stop sometimes. You need to pause. You need to take a step out of your life in order to be able to move forward in a much healthier, more productive way. So whoever needs to hear this, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to keep your cup full, whether it means stopping once a day, once a week, once a month. You need to fill up your cup in order to be able to fill up others. If you are born in the month of Kislev or someone that you are close to, their mazel is the Sagittarius. People who are born in the month of Kislev often love life. They're very optimistic. They're very confident. They're very hopeful. They know what their challenges are in life. They love exploring new things. They like sharing interesting ideas when they learn new things. They always want to grow. And our job, if we have Sagittarius in our lives, or if you are one, is to know when you're taking on too much. Because you love learning new things and doing new things, often you'll take off more than you can chew. Very often a Sagittarius can be very self-critical, which could lead to feelings of guilt if you take on too much or you don't succeed at something that you're doing, which could lead to negative self-talk. It's very important to be very kind to yourself when you do something, and not necessarily do you succeed. It's okay. You need to be kind to yourself in that aspect. Sagittarius can often come across as very direct or insensitive, and that is not their intention. It's just the way they are. They're very frank. They're very clear. They're very almost blunt. If we have a person who's a Sagittarius in our lives, we should know that we shouldn't take their frankness personally. They're not trying to be hurtful. That's just the way that they come across. When you want to connect to a Sagittarius, appeal to their logic. Logic and justice, it makes sense to them. It works. When the world works, that's when they're thriving. Very often they want to do something, but they're not looking at the whole picture. So very often it's our job to just help them see the whole picture of whatever it is that they want to be a part of. A Sagittarius like change, but you have to also always ask yourself, even though change is exciting, you need to ask, is what I'm going towards better than what I'm currently in? Just because it's different and just because it's exciting doesn't necessarily mean that this is what I should be doing. A Sagittarius really feels fulfilled when they can overcome their challenge of that bluntness and be sensitive to others and come around in a softer way. The Shevet for the month of Kislev is Shevet Binyamin. And Shevet Binyamin was actually known for being the most talented with the bow and arrow, which is connected to the Keshas. They were the only Shevet that was born in Eretz Yisrael. And Yaakov called him Benyamin, the son of the right hand. And he named him Benyamin because his name represented strength through pain and the power of transformation when one is able to take their pain and turn it into strength. This is who Benyamin represents. The body part for the month of Kislev is the keva, the belly. Now, when our belly is empty, it's very hard to function. We're not thinking, we're hungry. And when our belly is really full, it's just as hard to function because we're stuffed. We don't feel good. What is the key? The key is balance, to feel content. How do we apply this to our own lives? When our lives are empty, we don't feel good. We're busy looking at what everyone else has and what everyone else does. And the opposite, when our lives are overwhelmed, when it's just filled with too much that we can't even function properly, it also leads us to looking at everyone else like their lives are better than mine, they're balanced, they're not overwhelmed, they have everything figured out. What is the key? We need to find our own balance. We need to find our own way to be content. Granted, there'll be many happy moments, but happiness is not what we're aiming to achieve. We're aiming to achieve a place of being content where our lives are filled with things that we want, that don't overwhelm us, that fulfill us, that don't leave us feeling empty as well. The Hebrew word for measure is kav, which comes from the word keva. If we are able to be content in our own lives, we're not going to measure our lives against anyone else's life because we're going to be fine. We're going to be happy with our lot. And when we do see something that someone else has, there's a reason that we're looking at that. It means that something that we're lacking, that we want, that we hope to achieve in our own lives. The element for the month of Kislev is fire, which connects to the 36 lights of Hanukkah, the 36 lights from Gan Eden that is within each and every one of us. And this is the month that we need to access that fire within each of us. We need to use it to fulfill our own lives in the way that works for us, in the best way that our lives can be fulfilled. What fulfills me does not necessarily fulfill you. And Kislev is the time to reignite that fire, find it, and just be the best people that we could possibly be. Happy Kislev.